Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praise, glory, honor goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai for giving us this truth. Double honor to all the elders, teaching on the four corners of the earth, teaching in truth and sincerity. To you all say shalom. Brother Khan from the set of the Lions of Judah, just around here in Chicago. To you all say shalom. Coming at y'all with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. And the title of this video is going to be titled, Paul did not teach salvation for everybody, only the dispersed of the nation of Israel. And of course, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians are the true Jews and Israelites according to the Bible. You're not African. You could read Exodus 11:7. The Most High made a difference between Israel and the Egyptians. All right, we are the Jews according to the Bible. All right, so I'm gonna get it. This truth, this video's out of the mouth of an Edomite. All right, so-called Edomite scholars telling you that Paul only taught the dispersed of Israel.
And of course, we're talking about the Israelite kings of the houses of Judah, Zerah and Phares.
Well, absolutely. We're talking about the dispersion of Israel.
Right.
And
right.
Paul knew that the nations that he went to were all dispersed Israelites.
Yes.
And his letters prove it over again and again.
Yes. So that the universalists who want to interpret this phrase the way it has been translated, and you could say it like this: to bear my name before the nations, which Gentiles they assume means non-Israelites.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And kings, which is another separate group, whoever they might be, and the children of Israel, as if the first two were different from the latter.
Right, but the grammatical construction is called a hendiatrisin, and it means one by means of three. It means that all three of these entities being mentioned are actually the same. The nation...
And if Paul truly followed Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, he would have not taught other people the gospel. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24, and it reads, but he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right, so Yahweh Shai is telling you that he's only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, no one else. All right. Matthew 10, verse 5, and it reads, these 12 Yahweh Shai sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So if Paul went to the other nations who was not Israelites, he's not a disciple of Hamashiach. And we all know that Paul was a disciple of Hamashiach. So he didn't go to the other nations. This is a commandment by Yahweh Shai telling his disciples to avoid Gentiles, all right, to avoid the other nations and go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel who were considered the Gentiles, because there's two Gentiles in the Bible, all right?
And the kings of the sons of Israel is the literal reading.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Well,
and these images that you see are nothing but Edomites to throw off the true narrative, man. All right, and I'm gonna prove that. When you see these white images, that's all right to throw off the true narratives of the people, man. So you would never know that you were Israelite, because they play off of images. This is the book of first, and it's prophesied. This is prophecy showing you that these people was going to put white images in the scriptures to throw everything off, man. First Maccabees 3:48, and it reads, and laid open the book of the law. What's the book of the law? The Bible, wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images, all right? So they took the Bible and started painting the likeness of their images, and you're going to see it in this video right here.
Let me finish with verse 16. For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. So for the Paul bashers, these two verses, 15 and 16, are very succinctly declaring that Paul is a chosen vessel.
Absolutely. The Paul bashers are doing us a great disservice.
Yes.
Because these verses not only do that, they prove that Christianity is for only
Right.
the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Right.
No, Christianity is not for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We don't deal with religion. We are the Hebrew Israelites. Yahweh Shah did not come down and give you religion. He gave you laws. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, he gave you laws. All right, not religion.
Because of the bad translation, the Universalists have chosen to universalize it, and the Paul bashers agree with them, not understanding the grammar here.
Well, the Paul bashers' biggest mistake is simply taking for granted
Yeah.
that the mainstream translators translated all this properly.
Right. Absolutely.
And they botched it at every turn.
Yeah.
They universalized it, they twisted it and perverted it at every turn.
Right.
And this is one of the primary verses.
Yes, very good. So let me just, one more question before we close this evening. Do you think that this false translation or this mistranslation here is deliberate, or are the King James, it appears to me, this is the conclusion that I've come to for a lot of these really bad translations, is that these translations from the Greek in the New Testament, especially the writings of Paul, it sounds to me like these King James translators didn't know Greek that well.
It seems to be on many occasions that they did not know Greek that well.
Okay.
And that men before them made errors.
Yes.
But the biggest error, the biggest sin of the translators of recent times,
Yes.
who should know better, who after 200 years,
Yes.
you know, the English, the scholarship that the Englishman has brought to the world is simply amazing.
Right.
And it's a migration of the 12 tribes of Israel. The Israelites did not go in those directions. Yahweh Shah told them to flee into the mountains, which is westward, all right, from Israel. So they went to what you know as West Africa. All right, you can read that in the Josephus.
Work that they did in the Victorian age and the age of the empire, all right, the work that they did in archaeology and in language studies, and I do the best that I can to follow that legacy.
Right.
And that is why I use all classical English in the sense of, you know, Victorian English references.
Yes.
That's why I use the Liddell and Scott lexicon.
Right.
I don't use any of the modern trash, because a lot of that's watered down and politically corrected.
Right.
That's why I read the Loeb Library Greek classics, because they were all translated in like the 1920s and 30s at the peak of English scholarship.
Okay.
Most of them were translated by English scholars.
Right. And so we can also detect in the New Testament a lot of Catholic influence as well. Okay?
Right, and in the 1600s, when the translators did translate, if indeed they knew any Greek, they had to know some, right?
Right.
They had to.
It's the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 8. And it reads, "Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau," man. So the Most High said he's going to destroy the wise men out of Edom, man. These Edomites who took crafty counsel against the nation of Israel, they're going to be destroyed, man. All right. The people who changed your nationality, who purposely called you African American and black, all right, they're going to be destroyed because it was a crafty counsel that they took against the nation of Israel, man. And it reads Psalms 83. It said, "Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace. Be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have said," Salakia, "they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. All right, so that's what they did, man, by calling you everything besides a Hebrew, man, by calling you everything besides an Israelite. And then once they change your nationality, they push religion on you, man. All right.
To universalize, they had to accept universalized interpretations.
Yes.
Because they knew they belonged in Christianity, but they did not know how.
Right.
They did not have the archaeology and the Greek scholarship and the scholarship in the classics that later generations had.
Yeah, they did not understand that they were Israelites.
The people that you see in Israel today are not the true Jews and Israelites, right? They're Gentiles, all right? Because Yahweh Shah said that the land of Israel shall be trodden down by the Gentiles until the time the Gentiles be fulfilled. All right, so the people that you see, Salakia, the people that you see in Israel are not the real Jews. So this is out of the mouth of Edomites telling you that Paul only went to the dispersion of the nation of Israel. Read the book of Luke chapter 21 verse 24, and it's going to let you know that the land of Israel has been trodden down by the Gentiles. The real Jews are here in America and different parts of Africa, all right? But really we scattered to the four corners of the earth now, but we started off, when we left Israel, we went to West Africa. And then after that, Esau came and took us and brought us to America as slaves, all right? So with that, I hope this video was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. To you, I'll say Shalom.